Okay, all right. So we're back. It's been a minute, but we're here. We did not lose sight of things. We just had,
We're back and we're better.
exactly. New year, new podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm Anna,
And I'm Jayne.
and today we're going to talk about Fourth Wing because there's been a lot of hype with the new release, which we did not get to yet.
No, we got to the release. We went to a midnight release to get the book.
We did,
but we didn't read it.
We have not read it yet. We also have not read Iron Flame yet, so
Mm-mm.
we're a little bit behind, but we're gonna push through.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, we kind of get distracted by other books. So definitely not that we don't like it.
No, I think it because we both read it last year.
Yeah.
So we were rereading it for the podcast.
Yeah.
I think it definitely was my favorite book. Maybe
it was my favorite book of last year.
I don't know if it was my favorite. It's hard to say because last year I started reading again and I read, all of the ACOTAR.
You did, because ACOTAR, when I had read it, that would definitely be my favorite of that year.
It's hard to compare it to ACOTAR because they're both good.
I don't think it's hard to compare it to ACOTAR. Actually, when you say it, I think you can compare it. They're very similar in a weird way.
I also feel like because we haven't finished the series also, but I feel like that second book in ACOTAR is just...
So you're saying you think ACOTAR is better, just from what we've read. Obviously, we haven't finished the series, but you're saying you think ACOTAR is better?
That's only because I've finished ACOTAR.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing because Reese is my husband. He's my book husband.
I've finished ACOTAR, and I think...
And you read Silver Flames, right? Okay, yeah. So I still have not read... I've read half of Silver Flames.
This is not an ACOTAR podcast, but Silver Flames, I think, I think it's worth reading.
I know, I definitely agree. I'm very it's very hard for me to like a series that when they switch
spin-off.
The spin-off series. Once they switch the main characters, I spend the whole book looking for, the other characters popping up.
But they're in there.
No, yeah, but then I ignore the story for the main characters looking for
I think the story does get good enough that it can stand on its own.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about Fourth Wing, not ACOTAR.
Okay.
So, this is our second read through. I have annotated my book a little too excessively, but I also have notes. Where should we start?
At the beginning. Let's see. Where do my notes start? My notes start with me writing down the names, and I'm gonna butcher them. I already know, even though I wrote down the names of everybody and I tried to write them how I would pronounce them, I will be butchering them.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of I don't know how to say Xaden's dragon's name, but...
Can I ask you a question? Who is Xander? And why do I keep saying Xander?
There's no Xander.
Yeah, I
know.
I know. I know.
Well, that was me with the last book.
But I
kept calling him Thatcher.
Yeah, I keep calling him Xander or Xade. There is Xade is from Haunting Adel. Because I'm I know there's a character Xade. But that would be Haunting Adeline, because there's no Xade in here.
Oh, my first annotate is talking about when she's crossing the parapet and she's freaking out, and she starts giving us some world building to calm herself down.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's kind of clever. It is throwing a lot of information just at us instead of letting us find it out.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of instead of just throwing it at us.
Yeah, I do think it's a clever way to do it. I don't know.
It's a clever way to throw it at us.
I'd have to go and speak to my professor and see what he would say, because he was always saying, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
But I personally, I think it was handled well, because I didn't really think of it like that. I was just all right, she's a nerd. That's what comes. That's what comes.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's a clever way to just throw all the information at us. Get it all out there so we know what's going on.
And it makes sense. I remember I had to do an MRI once, as a child, and I replayed Harry Potter in my mind. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Weird things calm you down at weird times, so she could.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my first note is talking about her illness. What exactly is it? Like, why is she? I know she was sick and they put her in the library, but what does she have that makes her so fragile and breakable?
I don't know, but there is it's weird because I actually just saw this kid on TikTok, and he has something where apparently he can't like play with like he can't go outside and play a lot with other kids and stuff like that because his bones are easily breakable and stuff. So I don't know what it's called, but
it's real.
I guess it is. Like, I've never heard of that either, but I heard about it like last week. So that's probably what no, I don't think that's what Violet has actually, because Violet was able to like strengthen her joints and stuff like that. In my head, she was just like prematurely born or whatever, and frail because of it. And then also she sat in the library all the time. So it wasn't like she was out there strengthening herself and drinking milk.
My second note is it gives away the ending, and I don't think we're ready to talk about the ending. So,
see, I have my note, but I don't know. I'll just read my note. My note is not for nothing, but aren't they even? Like, and I feel like this is skipping ahead because it's Xaden and Violet, but his dad killed her brother, and her mom killed his dad. Aren't they even? To me, that seems.
It does seem a little bit like, and I noticed this a lot more in my reread because which I think I have a note about that, but like the first time I read it, I remember being very like afraid of Xaden, being like,
I was never afraid.
he might kill her at any moment. Yeah. But then reading it this time, I'm like, oh, it really seems like all of his actions were not.
See, that's funny that you said that, because you said you read it and you found yourself afraid of Xaden. I read it and I found myself suspicious because I read it and I was like, no, he's being too nice. He's trying to pull one over on her. Like, the whole time I was suspicious as to why is this man who's claiming to hate her so much?
Because he's in love with her.
Apparently.
From the moment he saw her.
He saw her and he said, that's mine right there. And I'm going to stick beside her. Go ahead.
No, you can go if it's on the same.
I don't know. My notes are all over the place. I have to take better notes for the next one.
Well, because mine is going back to the beginning where she's talking to her mom, and her mom says, no child of hers is going to be a scribe, but she married a scribe, so that's very confusing to me. Like, why would you marry a scribe if you had that sentiment of like, no child of mine is going to be a scribe?
The only thing I could think of is that, like, when somebody dies, they like burn all their stuff and basically get rid. So the dad is gone, and therefore there are no scribes here. Like, she's like.
My other note was I don't know if we should talk about it now.
About who?
Like the last page when you find out.
Oh, no, don't talk about. Well, like, I mean, I get this is.
No, my question is like,
this is for this book, so we can spoil whatever.
Do you think the dad's dead too?
Yes.
He's really dead.
I think the dad is dead. Now, how does this work? I don't know how this works. Anything that we say is fine, right? We could go back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. I just didn't want to go all the way.
I think the dad is dead. I don't know about Xaden's mom.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I don't know, because he says his dad died, right?
I would think his dad would be dead.
He said his dad died, but then he says, and what happened to mom? I don't even want to like talk about that or think about that or whatever he says. So I'm like, she might be alive. And then, does that uneven the playing field? Since we're there, are they now not even?
Yeah.
And supposedly well, not supposedly, Xaden knew the whole time that the brother was alive.
I know, which is the craziest
part. So, which I don't, I'm not even touching on that yet, but so they weren't even that.
So he had even more reason.
Yeah, because in his mind,
the brother's still alive.
Your brother is still
and
alive,
my dad's dead.
And my dad is dead. So, and it seems like he knows him well. And that's why I'm excited to get into the second book, because I need to like find out, all right, what's going on here.
Plus, like he graduated, and like I want to know like what's gonna happen now that he's graduating.
But see, that's like the thing that's confusing to me. Are they gonna go back to school and pretend like they didn't try to kill them? Is that what there's? Is Violet gonna go back to the school and pretend like?
I don't know. Well, we have to read the second book.
I know, we should read it.
But that's kind of a nice thing about, because with the Flock series,
that's why I was like, I really
did it all in one. But I think it's nice to have a little like speculation, and discuss our theories a little bit.
Yeah. And also I think it's nice like just being able to like talk freely about it without worrying about if you're spoiling it, because we spoiled everything, I think, in the Ravenhood.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. What's yours for?
I was just gonna say, does this not give you Dauntless vibes?
100%. 100%.
Like I felt like I was in Dauntless.
Yeah, Triss definitely when she's training, and but I love that.
Yeah,
I do, because that was like one of my favorite movies, because it used to come out, the movies came out like on my birthday for like 3 straight years, so I would go and watch it. Don't even get me started on the end of that book series, because
I never even made the last movie.
As they should not. 100% as they should not, because I hated it. I wanted to throw it out the window. But my thing here, and maybe you can help me out because I don't remember what this is supposed to mean, but I said, why do you think Xaden's dragon seemed to single Violet out and stare at her? So I'm trying to remember when this happened, that I wrote this. It must.
Well, they say like later on. I think that's when the dragons come down and like.
Yeah, and like her.
But they say later on, like during threshing, when Xaden's talking to Dane, and Dane's like, "Oh, you interfered with threshing," and Xaden's like, "It wasn't me. Like, you forget that Segal."
Yes, but
was watching the whole time, and Taryn was watching through Segal's eyes.
So you think she was staring at her because Taryn was checking her out at that point?
Maybe.
Because this is way in the beginning. I think this is.
But it could also just be because Xaden.
She knew that Xaden was in. Yeah. Was like,
Because Xaden said that he loved her from the moment she stepped on the parapet. So maybe she read Xaden's mind, and she was like, "This is the girl that you're like giving Violet a little side eye, like."
Because they made it like, I mean, obviously she's the main character, so they gave her obvious main character vibes. But what is the reasoning behind that?
I think it was that, actually. I think the fact that Xaden and her linked.
Mm-hmm. And so she was like, "This is it."
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, "This one. This is the one." All right, let me get my dragon husband.
Look at the screen. So do you think that Segal like set them up?
Maybe.
Like, all right, listen, mate.
I got you.
You gotta go check out this girl. My boy right here. That makes sense. Okay. All right.
She's like the ultimate wingman.
Literally.
Xaden.
Xaden may be the wing leader, but she's the ultimate wingman.
She's like, Xaden, I got you.
She really did.
Taryn, you the biggest baddest of them all. Go get this girl.
I feel like she did. I like that theory. Yeah, because she was checking her out from head to toe. She really was like, all right. And she picked the biggest, baddest dragon out there. So she's like, and you're gonna, and this is what you're gonna, because Violet had not done anything amazing yet.
No.
So she really was just this frail person at that point. And she was like, okay. All right.
And then I wrote, where was it? I lost my place. Oh, I think there's something that I really love about this book is like, and it's something that I love in books in general, is like how high stakes everything is. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's like, not saying that the cozy like rom-com books are not like, they don't, not saying that they don't have their place in their time. Mm-hmm. But I think there's something just so much better about it all having a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it depends like what you read for too. Mm-hmm. I think I read a little bit for more excitement. Mm-hmm. And so that's what it is. To me, I feel like rom-coms aren't really my cup of tea because they're more like safety. Like you know what's gonna happen, and that's good. Like you said, time and place for it, but that's not what I'm looking for. Like I need some excitement in my life. I don't have any excitement. I don't have any excitement going on. What I had was, why was Xaden so insistent that Violet was his to handle? Was it just because he knew that she was listening? So this, I guess, was when she was up in that tree, and he was like, "Leave Sorrengail to me."
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's he obviously knew she was there, and I think like he says, he loved her from the moment that he saw her. So obviously it's like a touch her and die kind of thing. Yeah. Like, that's mine.
I'll just have a note here when Violet was telling herself, "You are not attracted to toxic men." Yeah, okay, Violet. That's exactly what you're attracted to.
A lot of my notes are like how annoying Dane is. How like from the very beginning he has zero faith in Violet, and he's just like constantly trying to get her out of the Riders Quadrant, and like
I don't want to defend Dane. I don't want to, but I'm going to. Not out of the bottom of my heart, just to give a different point of view here. Because remember how we were talking about how breakable Violet was? Imagine you just had this friend who just, their bones would break any time they did anything, and they were shuffled away in a library, and they didn't even want this. They did not want to be there. They thought they were going to die. They wanted to live quietly and read books and then they were forced to go into this place where people die just for fun, for games. I'll give him that. From the beginning, I thought maybe he was.
It's funny you said that because I actually, because it's Onyx Storm season, and like Rebecca Yarros has been doing all those interviews and stuff. And there's this one clip that I did see of her on TikTok where somebody shouted out, like, I think somebody asked, like, who's your least favorite character or something like that. And somebody shouted out Dane. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "You shut your mouth. I love Dane." And she was like, "Listen, Dane is a product of his father, and having a friend who is wanting to put herself in harm's way, and you just want to do nothing but protect her."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's just like a kid.
Now, towards the end of the book, like when he touched her without permission and stole, now I didn't like him. But in the beginning, I was like, I mean, she doesn't really seem like she can protect herself. And she's probably going to get herself, like when we first saw I cannot pronounce her name. Ardanya. What's her dragon name? Ardanya. Okay. When we first saw her in the field and they were explaining this tiny little gold dragon that everybody is laughing at, I'm like, oh, Violet, there you go.
You know what was funny? I remember vividly reading the book the first time and being like, when they did the presentation.
Yeah, and they described
the black one.
Oh, that's hers.
I was like, oh, she's going to get the black one.
But
then when they said the gold one was there, I was like,
oh, you got your little dragon.
I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. This black dragon is just like.
Yeah. When I heard about the biggest, baddest dragon, I was like, okay, main character is going to get the biggest, baddest dragon. Then we hear about little Ardania in the field, and I'm like, That's kind of like, I love her. She's my favorite character. Yeah. 100% she's my favorite character. But I was like, Violet, that is so embarrassing. But that is your dragon. That little dragon is yours. And yeah, like I could see why like you wouldn't want your friend to die. Like when he says like I'm gonna have to watch you die. Like he truly believes this down to his core that and it sucks because like yeah, don't you know, have faith in her, blah blah blah. But Xaden didn't grow up with her like that. He saw her when she started, when she gave her shoe to save somebody she didn't know. He saw her then. He didn't see her before that. So it's like he can't really judge what he would, you know. I mean, granted, he's a mean girls. He's a pusher, but I don't know. I didn't start to hate Dane until, you know,
until he got Liam killed.
Until now that makes me want to just put the book down and never read it again because I don't think this book deserves to be read without Liam. Like Liam was
was very upsetting.
Well, I started freaking out when I thought Liam died
the first time,
and I was like, tell me this man died for a game, and tell me this school kills children. Not that they didn't kill a bunch of children before, but it didn't hit until it was Liam. I was like, y'all are out here killing kids.
And on the subject of Liam, I think that little like flirtmance that he has with her friend that's in the scribes, I think is so cute, so wholesome.
Yeah. Well, it was more than a flirtmance because they definitely hooked up when they all got called together for the more war games.
Oh.
And she was like, she saw his cheeks turn pink. I was like, okay. But what I have a note about. Oh yeah, this is just Dane. I think that's like the other part where I was just like, all right, Dane is just not. Also, by the way, we're burning a candle right now that says "Smells like Dane acting like a little bitch again." And I'm sorry because I know I said I like Dane, but
you got me that candle for Christmas.
I did. But my note says the fact that Dane said that he wouldn't have stepped in to help Violet, but then fast forward, he was trying to touch Violet without permission to save Amber. That right there is enough to make me not like him. And where the author says she loves him, what about this? Like everything else, okay. I get it, Violet, he's seen weak, he's seen hurt, he's seen this. But what about the fact that he was willing to break the rules for Amber and not Violet?
I agree. Sorry, you can't, the podcast can't see this, but I'm viciously nodding.
Like that, to me, big done. I also just have a random note in here. Ugh, that kiss with Dane, 0 out of 10. That's all I wrote. That's all that I feel needs to be said about it.
It was kind of yucky.
It was disgusting.
And yeah, that whole Amber thing, like, for the ew.
For the ugh. Also, side note, because you said, what did you say? Did you say enemies to lovers? You said a trope. What was the trope that you said?
I don't know. Did we discuss found family? Because this has found family, and I absolutely love found family in books.
I don't know if we did or not, but I just wanted to say, did you know that there is the trope of grumpy sunshine?
Yes.
And it's not Xaden and Violet. It's Taryn and Andromeda. I love that she has like this sarcastic. I love Taryn too, just in his own. He's hilarious. But I love when you get both of them, and he's just like Eeyore, and then you have her, and she's just like, everything is gonna be great. Like, especially because my second read around, I listened to it on audiobook. So they had her sound like a child, and I think that's what really.
Oh, okay.
I think that like really got to me, like, and I was like, oh my god, like this is adorable.
I actually annotated you were not attracted to toxic men.
Yes, I did that too, and I was like, yeah, okay, Violet, sure.
And then on the next page, when Xaden says, "Nope, defenseless women are not my type."
Mm-hmm. Now, see, that I specifically remember that, but I didn't know what it was in reference to.
I think they were on the. Oh, she said, "You're not going to disarm me," and he says, "Nope, defenseless women have never been my type."
Okay, because he says that later on in the book, and I was like, I know this is referencing something, but I can't remember what it is. I also just randomly wrote that Taryn when he's like, "Can I curse or no?" All right,
Yeah.
For F's sake, when Taryn's like, "For F's sake," he drops her and then he catches her. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I cannot.
You just can't curse in the first like 2 minutes or whatever it is.
Okay.
So we can curse. Yeah, but the drop and then later when she goes and sees Mira, and she's like, "Why didn't you tell me you've been having trouble like holding your seat like right away or whatever?" And she's like, "It's much better. I only fall 12 times." She's like, 12 times.
Yeah. I do love that, like, about Violet though. Like, I feel like in the beginning, it's almost like when you don't like somebody and you see things about them and it's like, oh my god, that's so cringe, it's so embarrassing. But then somehow when you like somebody, the things that you would normally be like, ew, or that's cringe, it becomes endearing. Like Violet's like inability to do something, I'm just like, oh my god. Like, I just find it hilarious at that point. And I love the fact that this big bad dragon, one of the baddest of them all, like, is just perfectly okay with her just being like a freaking whatever she whatever she is. Oh, and I have another note about Dane where Dane says that he's not going to question Amber's integrity when she said Violet acted dishonorably, but he's always questioning
I know.
Xaden.
I know. I have a note that says, "I love that she added 'I will not die today' to Brennan's book."
That's one of my favorite lines in the series.
I like that Mira also brought Brent.
Do you think Mira knows or no? I never thought about that. You don't think she knows?
I don't think she knows.
I don't think she knows either. I never thought
because
she I just thought of that.
It would really suck to be an only child.
Yeah, I mean, they say that to each other. I don't think she knows either, but I don't know. I don't know anything. If the last, did you suspect that the brother was alive? I never suspected that he was alive.
No, I didn't suspect it at all. I was very shocked at the end. I was also shocked that she got 2 dragons. There was a lot of like little, because then like when you think Liam's almost gonna die the first time, you don't expect him to die the second time. You're just like, oh, here we go again.
Well, especially because nothing happened. Which I need to touch back on that. The fact that if a dragon dies, the rider dies.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to say about that.
Is it because they say that Taryn's bonds are very strong and it almost killed him when his...
No. What it was why would Xaden die if Violet dies?
Because they're mated.
The dragon.
Yeah.
But the dragons don't necessarily die. They don't have to.
They also say that it's like unfounded, like they don't know, but it's possible.
Because if Taryn doesn't die,
they don't know, but it's well, because they say that Taryn's bonds are stronger because of how strong he is.
Yeah.
And the last time that he had a rider, the rider dying almost killed him. So they're thinking like, because he's bonding again, this time it's going to be stronger, and if Violet dies, it'll kill him, which will kill Sigaggle. Which will kill Xaden.
Yeah, because I'm like,
it's just a circle of everybody dies.
Basically, maybe.
Yeah, they're not sure.
Because I'm like, yeah, like if he doesn't.
Which also, going back to Taryn's last rider, they say that Taryn's last rider died trying to revive her brother. How the fuck did he die if her brother's still alive?
Because he probably succeeded.
Oh.
And gave like his last whatever. That's
and
the only thing I could think
him?
of. He died reviving him. Is he gave his last whatever, and that's how he lived. That's the only thing I could think of.
Because I do remember there's also a part where, in that scene where she's asking and they're like getting explained to him, and she's like, "I'm sorry, your last rider died because of my brother." Mm-hmm. And then he's like, "We shouldn't talk about the past."
Taryn. Would Taryn have bonded another rider if they killed Violet? My answer is no, but would other dragons? And what really is bonding if they're willing to bond another? Because remember how they all wanted to kill Violet because if you kill, so if you're bonding, so it's not really bonding. It is bonding, but it's not bonding in the way I'm thinking. Like you're not bonding like as in I like you, like
yeah.
You know what I'm? It's like you know what I'm saying. Not like I'm because the relationship that they have with their dragons now is it's family. That's found family. And by the way, I love the family of Segal, Taryn, Xaden, Violet, and and Darna or whatever the heck her name is. Because I think their little family is freaking adorable. When the fact that Xaden made a little harness for her to hook, that was it. My ovaries. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that is adorable. He literally made a little baby carrot. Yeah. Like, that's like there's so many different found families in this book, but that one, they literally are a found family. Like I don't know what kind of I don't know what exactly the dynamic is there.
I agree.
But I love but when we come back, she's not going to be a baby anymore.
No, apparently she's like teenage
years.
Yeah,
because Xaden was saying she might be bit.
Like sassy and
Yeah. Oh my god, she's gonna be like the one in Plight. What was her name? Gracie.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. But you know what I'm saying? I find that weird. Like if so, you chose this.
Well, and
I get it.
Another thing that I found weird was during threshing how these guys want to kill one of the baby dragons, and then
they don't know it's a baby.
I know they don't, but the dragons know that it's a baby,
and they're just like,
and they're still willing to bond with them.
That's another thing that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the dragons who turn on the other dragons because there's no way that they don't. Because how do you bond these terrible people? How did Jack get a dragon to bond him? Mm-hmm. And like that's absolutely insane. Unless and I don't believe it's for the greater good because it's just like they become attached to them eventually.
Yeah. So I don't know. They say that you bond like who you truly are.
But this doesn't make sense. There's more because the general, all of them have dragons too. So
yeah, and they're all hiding shit.
Yeah. So where is?
But that's what's funny too is that they say a lot about we don't. They're just trying to protect their veil.
Yeah.
They want to protect their lands and stuff, and they view it as beneficial to work with the humans. But I don't understand. I guess they just view it as inconsequential that they are hiding a bunch of shit from their family and
but
their
I get that, but then at the same time other dragons have to be like, well, this is going to get my rider killed. Because they,
Yeah, but then I also think there's a hierarchy within the dragons, which I hope there is. I hope we get to see some of that.
Yeah.
In the next coming books.
For sure there is, because that's why Taryn too was not to what's Dane's dragon? Kath? He's like, no. No, I will not be following behind this one.
So one of the other things that we didn't talk about, how do we feel about Jack as a villain?
I don't have too much feelings for Jack because they didn't give you any likable things about him.
No, he was just like a through and through villain. Like he didn't have a backstory.
No,
he had no like troubled past that made him like.
I mean, he might.
Yeah, but he didn't.
But we didn't. We don't know about it. And to me, he just seems like one of those people who go really hard in gym class. Like that's, you know.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good comparison.
Like I mean, that was his gym class, and he, you know.
Yeah, he took it very serious.
Like the fact that he was going to kill a dragon. That's
the whole point of what you're there
kill
for.
A dragon. I don't care if this was like the worst dragon with a missing wing, a missing leg, missing teeth. I'm not killing a dragon. Like, I'm pretty sure these other dragons are going to get me if I kill one of them.
I also think it's just crazy. Like, I thought they were supposed to like are dragons not sacred creatures?
Well, they are. I think someone said that
in their world. Like,
I think they did say that.
It's like sacrilege.
Like, but they just got like 3 people who were just like, yeah, okay, this is the weak one, so they won't care. Because they did say, like, I mean, I think Violet said it, like, no, this is, you know, this is everything we like stand for.
Disgust. How do we feel that like Violet's first kill is Jack, and she comes into her signet?
I liked it. I think it was a long time coming. I mean,
I think so
you give
too.
him chance, you give him chance, you give him chance, you give him chance. And if Liam would have died because of a game.
But Jack dies because of a game.
He does, but Jack deserves to die because of a game. And I'm just like, and once again, I go, but it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, why? But then again, they're not kids. They're not. I keep saying they're kids, but they're not.
No, it's college.
Yeah, but it's just crazy that this school, they're like, if you kill somebody, that's okay.
But everybody's choosing to be there. It's not like the Hunger Games where you're forced to
everybody's not choosing to be there.
No, but what's interesting is that I find it interesting that she doesn't realize that the Rebellion Relic kids are all riders until Liam explains it to her.
Yeah, but wait, what do you mean?
Like, she didn't know that they all are sentenced to the Riders Quadrant until Liam explains it to her and is like, no, we're all riders. Like, that's our punishment.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they really chose to be there.
I know.
And she didn't choose to be there either. She got sentenced to be there and was like, no, I'm not leaving because but she didn't choose to be there either.
But, I mean, most of them choose to be there. But I do think it's interesting that she doesn't know, which makes me think that nobody else knows that the Rebellion kids are sentenced to the Riders Quadrant, because why wouldn't she know? She knows everything there is to know. She was going to be a scribe.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought on that.
And I do like that it's Liam that has that conversation with her, and it's not like Xaden. I think it's good for the story. So you don't have like Xaden just telling her.
I didn't pay any attention to that, and I think in my head I just assumed she knew.
No, she didn't.
Because I'm like, why would these people be here then? Why would they be here if they all weren't forced to be here?
She didn't know.
Yeah, but to me, like, that's kind of silly because Violet's
I know.
Pretty smart.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking like that must mean that no one else knows that either.
I don't see.
Or she just didn't
I feel like I need to go
enough.
back for another reread now, because how do people not know this? Why would these people be here?
It never specifies if other people don't know.
Yeah.
But she specifically didn't know, which is weird because she knows everything and because she was a scribe.
If it wasn't, if it was in the books, she knows it.
Yeah, so, unless she like just didn't care enough to know it, which I find odd that she wouldn't care enough to know it, because she read like the scroll to make sure Xaden's dad was on it.
I don't know. I can't really talk on it because I didn't, like I
because
said,
in that same conversation with Liam, actually, she says, I think they said that like Liam's telling her that they executed his father, and she's like, he wasn't on the death roll, and then Liam's just like, well, they definitely executed him in front of me. So
yeah, I don't know. To me, it always seemed obvious that they were forced in there, so that's why I guess I assumed that Violet knew that, and I thought she didn't know that like Xaden basically took responsibility for all of them.
That was going to be my next question. How do we feel about that? The fact that he like has those scars, that he has that deal with his mother. I think there's a lot more to like.
Oh, there is.
Him and
Jayne
mother.
apparently knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it, you know.
And then like who's the guy, like the head guy in charge who comes like on the day, you know, that everything happened.
The one who has the dragon bigger than Taryn.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I like to have eyes on.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Boy, at least once a year.
Yeah. Well, then you find out why, but
gross. Also, how do we feel about like Violet walking the parapet for Xaden being an emo boy in the middle of the parapet?
I would do it
also, too. I did see a video on TikTok that was talking about how like someone was like, how big did you think the parapet was? Because she's thinking it's like 6 inches, you know? But apparently it's 18 inches, which is pretty wide. It's like bigger than a foot.
See, I'm afraid of heights. So for me, I don't care if it was 20 foot. Like the fact that like it's slippery, there's no railing, I'm scared.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't make it because I use a railing to go up the stairs.
I'm scared. Guys. I definitely pictured it thinner, but I don't care how big it is. The way she described it.
Plus it's raining.
Raining, yeah. No, once there was no railing. And I think it's just the fact that you're scared because of the height too. So I'm scared, you know, going on like water rides when you gotta wait on the stairs. My legs start to get shaky.
You must not like the drop rides.
No, I go on them, but I
don't like them either.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do we feel about Xaden like basically taking responsibility for all the kids to make sure that they don't rebel?
I feel like that's Xaden. I feel like, I mean, he said from Violet's my responsibility. Okay, you want another one? Go ahead. I'm making 108. Why don't you? Like, I feel like that's kind of how he is.
And the rule of like no more than 3 because he can't see.
That's why the guy needs to lay eyes on him because he can't see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So
I was like,
now that you said that reminded me of something else. Oh, Twilight. Remember? Alice couldn't see the wolves. That when I was reading that, I was like, what does this remind me of? But no, that's Xaden. Xaden he's got like daddy energy. That's why he literally made.
That's why he's better than Dane.
He made the baby dragon a freaking hornet. I can't get over that. That was it. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, I also have a note in here that's like when Violet's feeling the 2 dragons like doing whatever they're doing. And then she's like burning up and she looks at Liam and she's like,
I'm terrible because I was like, you should just, you know,
get it, just for the one time.
Yes, just do it. Let's just see what's going on here. But no, but my favorite part, because I love the jealousy when she says,
where's Liam?
He's in bed, and she's like, bed.
Who's like, bed?
Yeah, and she's like, his bed. And then she's like, wait, I think he's jealous. I love that part. I think I went and reread that part a couple times because I just loved it so much.
But that's when they have their first kiss.
Yeah.
And I wrote that like because then he's like, I'm not gonna like do this when you're not acting on like your own feeling. I'm like, damn, the consent part is like very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's bigger than the whole shebang.
That's Xaden. He doesn't like what did he say? Was it vulnerable women? What does he say he doesn't like? We just talked about this. Defenseless women. He's a man of consent. He takes care of those who are weaker than him. That's Xaden. You can't not love him. Give me a reason why I don't like him. Well, I can give you a reason because I can find some reasons about everybody.
I was just gonna say that because how do we forgive him for hiding,
not telling that her brother is alive?
How do we forgive that?
Because this is how I forgive him. Because the brother wasn't dead, right? So it's not like she thought her brother was alive and her brother's actually dead. It's not like her brother was in trouble and her brother needed help. But her brother is alive. She already mourned this man because Xaden doesn't meet her until, way later. So she's already mourned the brother, thinks the brother is dead. The brother himself is saying not to tell Violet, not to tell his family. And he's got the responsibility of 107 kids.
Well, that's a good point. But I'm just thinking about, like, if that's your sibling.
And I understand, but the only reason for me is it wasn't the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think eventually he was going to tell her that he was alive. And I feel like when he met her, when someone dies, you don't ever not mourn them. But she wasn't actively, you know what I'm saying? Like, she had accepted this at this point.
Like, it's not like he had just died
and he's like, no, he's alive. Like, this is something she's accepted. And I feel like there's too much on the line, especially if the brother himself is saying, don't tell, anybody about it. Like, I know we're going to get into the second book and I can't wait because I'm like, oh, Violet's going to be so angry that she did not know that her brother was alive. We're
going to get some groveling Xaden.
Yeah, but Xaden, the funny part is he doesn't seem too worried about this.
What about
how the fact that I don't know if it was because they didn't want to spoil anything. So, but like, even like when he's like, you got like a couple seconds to ask a question before this man barges in, meaning her brother, like he's taking it very lightly that the brother's about to come. He's not saying like, listen, Violet, there's something I gotta tell you. Yeah. There's one more secret.
Which, the funny thing is, I like that last, like, chapter is from Xaden.
Oh, I love it. Because I'm wondering, do we get more?
Yeah. I love seeing inside of his mind.
Yeah.
Because he's very, like...
It wasn't until I saw inside of his mind that I believed that he truly loved Violet.
Yeah.
I was still skeptical. I was like, I don't know. Because it's just like, he liked her from the minute he saw her, is what he says. And that's how it seemed in the book. And I didn't trust that. I'm like, this is, and then he's like, don't fall for me. Don't fall for me. Why are you doing all this then? Why are you picking violets and leaving them at her bedside after you guys slept together if you don't want her to fall for you? So I was very skeptical of this man, but turns out he's just an idiot.
As most...
Like, basically that's what it is he really did like her, so he couldn't stop everything, I guess, that you do when you like a person, because that's just crazy to me. Don't fall for me, and then you sleep together and you leave flowers on the side of the bed.
And first of all, you wreck her fucking room.
I think Violet had a little bit of
hope, but I'm saying, like, holy,
she busted his windows out. Yeah, no, I didn't trust him until I had his point of view. Not that I didn't trust him. I did trust him. I trusted the fact that eventually they would be together. I trust the fact that they're endgame. I'm hoping. Could you
please,
imagine?
God,
could
Jesus,
you
Lord
freaking
Christ.
imagine?
Please don't let Jayne be endgame.
Could you imagine? Because we talked about ACOTAR a little bit. Could you imagine? Which there's no possible way. But we spent the first book thinking it was Tamlin.
Well, I saw a clip of them saying, are you going to pull an ACOTAR on us? Asking her.
And what'd she say?
She said, no.
Okay, thank God.
She said, I like Sarah, but I'm not Sarah.
Thank God, because I couldn't handle... And I will admit, I liked Tamlin.
I did too.
I liked it.
It wasn't until I saw Reese and I read and I thought more critically about Tamlin that I was like, oh yeah, he was a little sus.
I mean, I liked Reese immediately because I could like more than one.
You just want them all.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, he's nice. Just go ahead.
Have Lucian too while you're at it.
I did. I liked Lucian. But I I didn't start not liking Tamlin until the second one, when he was ignoring the fact that she was in so much pain, and there was Rhys, who, you know, and I love the fact, now I don't, this is not an ACOTAR podcast, but I love the fact that Rhys said, I didn't. Oh no, I can't talk about this because that would be a spoiler, maybe for ACOTAR. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay, no, this is the Fourth Wing podcast, not the ACOTAR podcast.
Back to Fourth Wing.
I feel like every one of our podcasts has sprinkled ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just talk about ACOTAR. Get it over.
I think we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to have like one episode where because it's just, it's
so popular.
Yeah, yeah. Now, wait a minute. Fourth Wing is becoming a TV show, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How do you feel about that?
I'm very excited for it, actually.
I am excited, and normally I'm not.
She's been reading like the scripts and everything, and that it's very good.
Yeah.
That she approves. And she also said like her only major, like, you cannot change this, is Xaden has to be a person of color.
Yeah. See, it's so weird. I pictured, like you said, I picture Xaden looking like Rhys.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I pictured him. I don't know if I just have a lack of imagination.
Yeah, I kind of picture all of the Shadow Daddy-esque men to kind of look very similar.
I also pictured, in the beginning, Xaden looking like the Darkling, because he too is a Shadow Daddy, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. I'm interested to see then who she'll cast, because if she's, you know, very much in that process, then we'll see who she pictured as him, and I would like to see that. But I saw in the comments on TikTok, which I thought was funny, when they were talking about the TV show, they had like announced it or whatever, and some guy in the comments was like, "It feels like a sin that I've seen this before my wife," and I just thought that was hilarious. So.
To be fair, of all like the smutty romantasy-esque stuff, I think this is very like male coded. Like, I think men would enjoy this series. Like, well, I got it recommended to me by a man, so
I think so too. I think there's a lot of action in it.
And the dragons are cool. Men love dragons.
Yeah. I mean, I like dragons. I think everybody's gotta like dragons.
Exactly.
I want a dragon.
Also, I don't know if you caught this, but apparently Xaden's birthday is in March.
I did not. March what?
8. He doesn't say.
I feel like he's an Aries. I feel like a March Pisces would be fine too, but I feel like he's probably, because I feel like most people go to Aries when they think, they don't know that March Pisces are just insane. You know, Xaden definitely has more sense in him than
I think he could be a March Pisces, because he left her flowers after they slept together.
That's that little bit of
Pisces.
February, like that's the little bit of Pisces that's in you when you're in March. I don't know if Xaden's crazy enough though. And I am a March Pisces, so I hope I'm not insulting any March Pisces. I don't mean this as an insult. I mean this in the best way. I love March Pisces. Because when I find out a man is a Pisces, I'm like, February, March. Big difference. Big difference. I could see him as a March Pisces. I could see why people would say he was an Aries, but you're right. The flowers, that's giving March. That's giving
and
March,
the little like protective
Pisces
things he did all around throughout sprinkled in.
Yeah, it could definitely. I do feel like, for what they say about Aries, he's a little bit more of cool-headed. So maybe he is a March Pisces. I hope he is a March Pisces. That would make me happy.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, March?
He
doesn't say.
When did that? Because I didn't even catch that his birthday was in March.
There's that little like, it's not a montage because it's a book, but it's like that little like where she just says like all the questions that she asks in her head to him, and
when he's popping back with like, is that when he's like, why are you being so weird?
Yes. She's like, when's your birthday? And he's like, March.
How did I miss that? And I love
and he doesn't say when. He just says March.
Yeah, and I loved that scene.
And then he says when her birthday is. And
when's her birthday?
I don't remember because I didn't make a note of that. But then she's like, "How do you know that?" And then he's like, "I made it my business to know
everything about." Yeah. Can't believe I missed that it was in March. I hope he's a March Pisces.
On the topic of them talking in their heads, how do we feel about them being able to
love it? Absolutely love it. And the flirting when they're in their heads.
When she's like, I forget what she says, but they're in class and he like drops his pen.
I'm literally looking at that note in my thing because I said, why do you think he used his shadows to pick up Violet's pen and giving it to her when he's pretending to not be paying attention to her? And my question was like, is it a threat, like I'm always watching, or comfort, like peace offering? Because Liam had just said at that point that Xaden wouldn't kill her. And then that's when he offers her the pen. So, no, I love it. Come on, how much more intimate can you get?
It's true. How do we feel about Violet's power being lightning?
When I went back for the reread, I saw it more. Like when
Did you?
Yeah, because I
didn't catch it.
When you go back for the reread, definitely during the kiss.
Yeah, like Xaden said.
Yeah, definitely during the kiss you hear about lightning. But there's also something she says. She's like, I love thunderstorms because of the shadows and lightning or something like that. So when I went back, I saw more.
I missed that
because I had no clue what it was going to be.
Yeah, I didn't have any clue either. Yeah.
But when I did the reread, I saw more.
And Segal says that signets are who you are at your core. Mm-hmm. So how do we feel about that being?
Personally, I think Violet was a little dramatic. I don't think
you think she was being dramatic about how she reacted to it?
I do. Now, granted, okay, she killed Jack. If you want to cry about that, okay.
But she was protecting somebody. And it's like what they said in the book about how you can also protect people with this. It's not just...
But I didn't think she was being dramatic about killing somebody. Like, I don't care if that's what you want to go through. But what I did think she was being dramatic about was that her lightning, she's like, oh, I'm a killer. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Like, that's what I thought. I was like, calm down. It's not that. Do you look at the lightning outside and say this is a killer? Like, no. Like, I get what you're saying. It can mostly be used as a weapon.
I think she's talking about what the kingdom is gonna make her do because of her.
Yes, but the way she was acting, I was like, calm down. Like, it's you literally, if you didn't want to kill anybody, just do a lightning force field around the castle or whatever, and people won't go into it. Like, I just feel like you're overreacting.
Which, speaking of the lightning force field thing, when they're at Mira's or whatever, and Xaden shows up because like 3 days.
Okay, do we believe that?
I'm sorry. No, I absolutely don't.
Okay.
I think that he just hated that she was away with Dane.
Yeah, yeah. Because I didn't believe it. Even in the beginning, I was like, yeah, okay. And those dragons are mighty quiet right now. Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure you're lying.
Taryn's not screaming.
Yeah, no.
But I thought it was funny when they're like trying to figure out strategies, and they're like, oh, I would have Xaden fill the room with shadows and make it all dark. And Dane's like, can you even do that? And he just does it.
Yeah. I like that whole scene where he was like basically like claiming her in front of Dane, even the way he put.
Speaking of that scene, afterwards, because Mira's there, when Mira pulls them both out and like basically reads them both the riot act, like, Dane, cut your shit out.
Yeah,
you're being an asshole. And Xaden, what are your intentions with my sister?
Yeah,
I loved that. I loved that moment because I do like protective sibling tropes.
I love that we finally get a good sibling.
Yes.
I'm not going to comment on any characters in any books because we know people are very passionate about that.
Yeah.
But I hate that, like, it's always like the sister is terrible. Like, it was nice to just get like a nice sibling.
And she's protective of Violet from the very start. Like, she goes up against their mom. Like, don't do this. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I love her. I was happy that.
Which, also speaking about that moment, how do you feel about Xaden, like, basically forcing her to leave? Like, would you have left your sister?
I wouldn't have left my sister. But then again, I gotta think about this. 'Cause in this case, I would be the younger sister who can't even sit on my dragon. Probably will end up being put in danger. My sister's gonna try to save me. My sister is a badass who knows what the hell she's doing. I still probably wouldn't have left my sister. But I didn't hate Xaden for getting her out of, because me as now, let me be the older sister who knows what she's doing. And if I told this man, get my sister out of here so I can worry about what I'm doing, you know, and he is the wing leader. He you know, he knows about battle more than he knows what a distraction could cost you, and that's what Violet would be.
Yeah. I think she's thinking more about, like, Taryn can help, because Taryn is, like, the biggest baddest.
Yeah, no, for sure. But then he's got this little fragile girl on his back
who's not ready.
Who's fallen off a dragon 12 times. And when she was fighting Rhiannon, is that her name? Rhiannon? Her friend?
When were they fighting?
Well, like training.
Oh, training.
And she was checking out Xaden, and then Rhiannon like takes her out, and Taryn is like, serves you right. Like, I love that.
Also, speaking of that, when because it's on the mat that she gets jealous of, like, Imogen, because Imogen is like checking out Xaden.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about Imogen?
I like her.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason not to like her. I mean, I would probably do worse to somebody who, if in the beginning I thought this person stood with the people who killed my family, and they know the truth behind it, that their family did nothing wrong. And then you have this girl who she's just assuming that she's, you know, just like her mother, blah, blah, blah. But when she gets to know her, they all seem pretty, yes, ultimately they're loyal to Xaden, but I think when they get to know Violet, they kind of accept her. So I like her. And once I found out she didn't have a crush on Xaden, I really liked her.
I ship her with Garrett. Thank you.
Me too. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And Rhiannon.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about her?
I like her. I like her too. I think
I'm glad, because at the beginning when Mira's like, oh, don't trust anybody when you go on there, don't make friends, make alliances, like and then Violet gives her boot. I'm like, oh god, is she gonna, like, turn on Violet? Like, but they've been, like,
you know,
I hope that doesn't change.
I hope so too. I'm thinking Divergent, which
yes,
what happens with that? Like I said, that last book, I wish I could just erase it from my memory, the last book of Divergent.
But I think Rhiannon is, like, a badass.
No, I like her. I truly do, but I also did not think Christina... No.
Divergent.
Spoiler! We gotta stop talking about
other books.
Yeah, I like her. And I like when she sees Violet in Xaden's jacket.
Yes.
Like, is that the wing leader's jacket? And she's like, no. And she's like, because it has this and this and this. But then when Dane comes over, she, like, puts her arm over it so that Dane can't see that it's his jacket.
Yeah.
I like her.
She
hooked up with Liam.
Did she?
Yeah, her and Liam hooked up together.
Rihanna took it up with everybody, because she hooks up with Tara. Yeah. She hooks up with that other guy too.
What other guy?
I don't remember.
I'm almost positive that they hooked up and they both came out of the room together. And Violet was like,
I feel like every other day you were finding which no shame. I'm not shaming the girl. But every other day she was coming out of her room with somebody else.
She was out there living her life like it might be the last day. She heard that you need to live like it's your last day, and she said, "Okay, I got you.
I'm gonna sleep with my whole squad and then some."
I was gonna say something and I forgot. Oh, when you were talking about her being a good friend, I got a flashback of Dane. I can't believe this mother effer literally knew he was sending his friend to her death and said, "I'll miss you. I'll miss you."
When you've been trying to save her the whole fucking book.
That's insane.
Save her, air quotes, save her.
That's insane. Because what? Because you found out that her and Xaden are together? I'll miss you. That's petty. That is so crazy when you think about that he was going to let her die. Like, not get hurt, not let her die, rather than...
He's just like a by-the-book guy.
He's not, because he was going to break the rules for Amber.
Do you think that he liked Amber?
Yes. They slept together.
Oh.
You didn't know they slept together?
No, I didn't.
See, like, he doesn't say, like, too much about it, but in my mind, I'm picturing that's, like, one of the only people Dane slept with. I'm picturing that's one of the only people Dane has slept with, and he puts her on, like, because the way he's acting, that's the only way to explain it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was going to break the rules for her, and he won't break any rules for Violet. And it's not even like, I don't think he likes Violet that much anyway to begin with. Because he's just like, yeah, I know I kissed you in front of everybody. So the rules are already broken. So at this point, it's like, what's the, big deal?
But I'm your squad leader. So we
probably shouldn't do this. I feel like what Dane wanted to do is probably continue doing whatever Dane is doing, live his life, and then at like 30, marry
Violet.
And they would be like, like this professional family because of the general's daughter and whatever his father is, and
they'd have a very Clinton relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like a very House of Cards
marriage. Yeah, that's what I feel like he wanted, because he really didn't like her, because he kissed her and then was like, yeah, I'm the squad. You kissed her in front of everybody. Xaden saw you. Like, at this point, it is what it is. Doesn't matter if you hide it. People are going to think what they're going to think now.
Which people were already probably thinking that anyway because of how he acted.
Yeah. Yeah. Which in the beginning, I did like it. I was like, oh, okay.
I did too. My first read, I did like him. I think my second read through, just knowing what happened.
Oh yeah, no, the second, yeah. Oh, and Darna and Violet, when they were saying goodbye at the end, that like hurt. Like, my heart did a little when she was like, you're gonna feel the moment when you're not leaving anything, and then I need you to go. And I was like, oh my god, that hurts. And like, oh, I love that little dragon.
Speaking of her, how do we feel about the whole time stopping thing? And it only being like a baby dragon power.
Yeah, because she can't do that anymore, as Xaden said, now that she's bigger. I was like, this is cool.
And what do we think like her second signet is gonna be?
That I couldn't tell you. I have no guesses. It's probably in there somewhere.
She said she's been hinting at it.
Yeah.
In both books.
It's somewhere in there. And what now, I haven't read any of Iron Flame. I haven't read Onyx Storm. So what's going on?
In Iron Flame and Onyx.
In Onyx Storm. Why is Onyx Storm named
Onyx Storm?
Onyx Storm because about
Xaden's eyes.
Why? Tell me why. I need to know, because I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I think her thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she'll do something with fire or something. I don't know. We got Iron Flame.
Fire.
What's a mix? Smoke comes from fire. So you got
good
Xaden
idea.
in there.
That's a good idea.
You could start fire from lightning. I don't know.
That's a good hypothesis.
Why is that last one Onyx Storm? I need to know. We got to get in there quick. We got to read these books quick because I don't want to have a spoiler.
Unfortunately, we're going a little slow here.
Because I'm nervous. Because I'm like...
Because I would love to as well, but we have Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes, we're going to do a special... We're going to do a special Valentine's Day.
We're pausing the dragons.
Pausing the dragons to action for a little bit of romance.
And some self-love. We heard this book is...
Yes, it's a plus size. It is a plus size
Yeah,
heroine,
it's like
right?
a body positivity... know your worth romance.
Okay. I'm excited for it.
Empowering.
I'm excited for it. So yes, we got like 2 weeks about to read that one.
And then 2 weeks for Iron Flame.
Are you going to start Iron Flame before? I think I'm going to start Iron Flame before, maybe.
I already started Iron Flame.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start it.
I'm 10 chapters into Iron Flame, but I'm being very good to not...
How are the 10 chapters so far?
Very good.
Okay. We don't want to spoil it.
Because I went through the 10 chapters like that.
Okay.
Granted, I was on a plane, but...
Oh, yeah. See, I got taken in once I started listening to the audiobook. Because originally I was like, oh, I'll breeze through the reread. But the audiobook made a difference for me. And I got the graphic audiobook. So it was the one where everybody sounds, everybody has their own character. There's sounds. Like you hear the dragons walking. And
oh, wow.
It's a little weird for me because it kind of reminds me of like Dragon Tales or something. Like you just hear like that and I'm just picturing these big feet.
I did see a video on TikTok that was like, how could anybody listen to this theme song and then try to kill a dragon? And it was the Dragon Kill theme song.
I used to run home to watch that show. I could still smell, like, I don't know what the smell. There was a smell in the air when you were a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that smell was.
And Dragon Tales brought that smell.
Yeah, I don't know, but I remember.
And for me, also, Bear in the Big Blue House or whatever it was.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I feel like you're saying that wrong because I feel like my brain knows what you're talking about, but I've never heard what you just said.
Are you talking about the bear in the house?
Why are you asking me what I'm talking about? You are talking about it.
I'm talking about the bear in the house.
That's the name of the show.
I don't think that's the name of the show. I don't know what the name of the show is. Are you talking about
that creepy bear?
No, not the creepy bear.
Like Alfie or something?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. But Dragon Tales. Run home after school. The smell of your childhood smelling. I was eating a string cheese. Life was good.
Life was good. I used to watch Dragon Tales at my aunt's because I was
at my grandma's.
Babysat by my aunts a lot.
I was at my grandma's, and for some reason I didn't watch it in the living room. I went and I was like sitting on the floor. Maybe that's like my thing because I'm sitting on the floor right now. I was sitting on the floor in my grandma's room watching it. Meanwhile, there's like TVs and there's like a living room, sitting room. I could have chosen anywhere, but that's just a side note. I don't know what.
Unrelated to
just in case anybody wanted a piece of my childhood, there it was. The string cheese with string cheese, and it was good. Life was good.
And we still love string cheese to this day.
To this day. And dragons.
To this day.
Yeah.
I do like string cheese in the form of fried, though.
Yeah, we gotta try those chili mozzarella sticks. It's kind of crazy when you think about the fact that, like, when people eat mozzarella sticks, you're eating a whole string cheese.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally sitting there eating how many string cheeses?
Have you ever, this is embarrassing and totally unrelated, but have you ever, like, choked on the cheese?
All the time.
Because it's like stringing and
all the time. And you just keep eating it and it keeps going and then it gets stuck right, it's the glob.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
And then also once I had like freshly gotten my tongue pierced and the thing was sticking up and it was metal and the cheese wrapped around and it got really hot. So I was like,
oh my God.
And then it went down my throat, but it was still stuck but it was still stuck on the ring. Yeah.
That sounds worse than like.
And my mom was just like, that's why you don't need to eat mozzarella sticks because people choke on them. Meanwhile, I'm a whole adult sitting here. But people choke on mozzarella sticks, so you shouldn't eat them. Not mozzarella sticks. Mozzarella sticks. Those are the melted ones.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That your mom saying that just reminded me of this one time when I was in. Now we're totally talking about different stuff. But this one time when I was in elementary school, and my teacher told me, you know how when you got like a little bit of like chip breakage at the end of the bag, she said don't like tip it up into your mouth. You know how people do that.
Yeah.
Because her husband did that and he choked on the little chip particles.
Oh my god! I thought she was.
So I think about that every time.
No, I do it all the time. I personally just feel like a big back when I do it.
Like your vacuum.
Yeah, like you. Oh, I gotta get every job. Because really, what are those last crumbs?
No, I feel that way when like you get like a bacon, egg, and cheese or like a cheeseburger
and you scrape it.
I'm like,
I never thought of that. But that is big back food. You're right. But I'm not gonna let that cheese go.
Me either.
No,
that's perfectly good cheese.
Exactly. That's sometimes the best part.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well,
did they eat at all?
No, because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about that during the when we were planning the podcast. I was like, what are we gonna eat though?
Yeah, they didn't eat
ever.
Yeah, so we don't even know what they eat.
Well, she did have kitchen duty.
Oh, what am I talking about? You're right. They did eat, and they had oranges. We should have had oranges.
And that's how she would poison everybody. Yeah, Jack. We didn't talk about that.
We didn't. We missed we forgot they ate. So why would we talk? Obviously, we forgot she was in the kitchen. Yeah.
But I don't think it was noteworthy food.
No, it was normal food. But we could have had oranges. We like to do a themed drink and food every time we do the podcast, even though you guys can't see it. It's there in spirit.
And this is the first time that we are not drinking.
Yeah, there's no drinking. There's no cute snack. Just a Gordito crunch. But I do have my water in a little fourth wing cup that says there's nowhere in existence you could go that I wouldn't find you violence. And that's why I love Xaden.
And I just got a Baja Blast.
But it's not a spiked Baja Blast. It's just a Baja Blast.
Just normal Baja Blast.
I regret not getting the spiked Baja Blast.
Yeah, me too. But back to the poisoning.
Yeah.
I think that was so smart. And I like that Xaden picked up on it. And what's interesting to me is you can tell that this quadrant is not for the intellects.
Okay, because that's what I'm gonna say. Because how did nobody pick up on that?
Exactly.
Nobody picked
all of her
the teachers didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
The teachers didn't say, "Hey, I think somebody might be cheating and seeing who's versing who. Let's not write it down in the same spot we've been writing it down in."
Because all of Violet's,
they seem to get a little loopy before.
They're just sick. They're falling over. They're dizzy. What's going on?
Yeah, I was questioning. I thought that was a little bit of, I was like, nobody is thinking something suspicious here, especially since she's giving them their food. Maybe that's because I'm a paranoid person, though. Because I would be like Violet, when she didn't want to eat the food.
Yeah.
I would be like...
Especially knowing that everybody wants me dead.
Yeah.
But I also...
Because I'm surprised they take food from them at all.
Yeah.
These people are trying to kill people off. Why would you trust, anybody doing anything?
I just thought, these people are, some dumb jock people. All the intellects are in the scribes.
And that's kind of like how Divergent is. It's they're not bright. That would be Uridite. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
The smart ones. Yeah, they're just there for the all brawn, no brain.
I think I covered all of my notes.
I pretty much covered all the rest of my notes are just me just being silly. When I would see quotes. I randomly have the way Violet tries to convince herself that Xaden is he's a good man, Savannah. These notes mean nothing.
We didn't talk about how her dad left that note in her book.
Mm-hmm.
and first of all, that book in general, that like is the folklore or whatever, but
that reminded me of what is the one in Harry Potter, the Burt's Bees? No, Burt's Bees. that's not it. The one about the brothers.
Oh yes,
and it was a children's tale.
Yeah,
that's what that reminded me of.
The Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. Burt's Bees.
But like, did her father know? He must have.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Did the mom did they have him killed?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Because he knew, and he was trying to tell Violet.
I don't know, because then I was thinking about how like when they accidentally open that confidential. No, it's not a confidential scroll. They just accidentally open the scroll. Like,
yeah, they don't know. Yeah.
And they read it, and then like it's not talked about at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the first time they're hiding something. This is suspicious.
Another book where the mom kills, or movie. Oh, the 100. Did you ever watch the 100?
Mm-mm.
I believe like the mom sold the dad out because the dad was gonna like reveal secrets or something like that. So that's
what does the note say? It's like the
past teaches something.
Yeah.
Or like one generation. I remember.
And he says like, I don't know if he like says it to her or something where he's like, remember scribes dictate the history.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the scribes don't write it down, then
it
doesn't get remembered that way, which is very true about history in general.
Yeah.
And then like the wyvern and the griffins. Finding out that the griffins are not actually the bad guys. Because first of all, I'm like, when you find out that the griffins are like the big bad that the dragons are worried about, like, griffins are significantly smaller than dragons. Yeah. Like, why are we worried about the griffins?
Yeah.
Like, what threat are griffins going to pose on a massive fucking dragon?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
But then there's magic, and there's wyverns, and there's...
And trying to keep all that.
I can't even say what those things are. Venin?
I think in my head I called them vermin.
I did too, but that's not right.
Yeah, I know that's not right. Because that I was like, but I think that's what I was like calling them in my head. But I think it's like, venin or something like that.
I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah.
How they tackle that if it gets outed.
Oh, it's getting outed. 100%. How could it not?
Well,
so there's no way she's going to be friends with Dane.
Oh, absolutely not.
When she goes, you think she's going to go back to school?
Yeah.
And they're just going to pretend like nothing?
I don't think they're going to pretend like nothing, but I think there's no way that...
Well, you read 10 chapters in.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
But I think the first book was her first year. I think the second book is going to be her second year. And I think the third book will be her third year, kind of like Harry Potter. But apparently there's 5 books, so I don't know. Maybe that's not true.
For some reason I thought it was a trilogy. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a trilogy. So when I found out there were 5 books, I thought it was a trilogy. Nervous. Because...
And by the way, who knows when we're getting the 4th book? Because they asked her at the press conferences, and she said her next book is going to be a contemporary fiction. She doesn't want to go back to this world. And then she said after that, she promised her family that she'd take some time off. And then she said, who knows? So who knows when we're getting that 4th book?
I don't like that answer.
Exactly.
Who knows? Like, I get not being on a timeline because I like to write. I went to school for writing, so I get it. Like, but at the same time, as the reader, not the writer, I don't want to hear who knows.
Especially since I didn't sign up for this. I thought it was a trilogy.
I usually always, before I start something, not only do I make sure, like, oh, it's completed. Like, not even it's going to be completed. Usually I want it already completed because I have been left on red for a couple ones that still bother me to this day.
But I feel like it's becoming a TV series now. So, like, how do you not finish it? Don't George R.R. Martin us, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that man might not ever finish Game of Thrones.
I would hope that she wouldn't do that, especially because it's coming a TV show. And then at the same time, I kind of wish that she would finish it before the TV show, because then sometimes, like Vampire Diaries, how I feel like the show influenced the books a little bit, or or sometimes
that's what I'm worried about too, because sometimes when like the show comes out, you'll see like two characters on screen have like chemistry, and then you write about it even though you had no fucking intentions.
I don't know if this is, well, it's not a spoiler. If you don't want to hear anything about the 100, don't listen. But it's really not a spoiler because the show is over.
Was the 100 a book?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But the book became so different from the TV show. And I believe because of the fact that it was on TV and people didn't like the way it went like on TV, so they didn't follow the books. So now I loved these, I wanted these one characters together, and they didn't end up together in the show, but they ended up together in the books, because people didn't like it on the show. Oh. They were like, and not that they didn't like it, because these two actors had so much chemistry that literally I called my mom while she was at work and I was like, they hugged. She was like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, on the show that they finally hugged. And that's how much I could not wait for these people to get together. Never do. In the book, yes. In the TV show, they never do. And that's why I'm worried about, like, I don't want, one affecting the other.
Yeah. Well, they're still in the early stages of the TV show.
Yeah.
So hopefully she does get to finish it before.
And no one ships Xaden and Violet harder than Taryn. You can. That man fangirls for them. You cannot convince me other. the entertainment that he seems to get from watching how Violet is with him is hilarious.
Yeah. I agree.
That was the last thing I wanted to say that was in my notes that I didn't say, because I find it so funny how he's like always like he's fangirling.
We talked about everything in my notes already, so
yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We'll try not to make it another month before.
We won't. We'll be good. It was the holidays, and it was rough.
We were vacationing. We were busy.
We went to Nashville, had a good time.
But so Valentine's Day, and then we're back into the.
And then we're back into Iron Flame. We'll be back with Iron Flame.